I'm Rich.
I'm Othello.
I'm Aaron.
And by our fandoms combined, we are Fandom United. And you know what? You know what we're going to talk about. If anybody watches the show, like I know my kids watch the show and some friends, they're geeks too. They know what we're talking about. We're talking about the Sony Disney deal falling apart tonight. Yeah.
That's all any
Yeah.
What's
that's
going
all
on there?
any nerd is talking about
Right?
now.
I mean, you know, I always dog on Twitter as the dumpster fire of the internet. Everybody knows how my
But
love-hate
you're
relationship.
on there all the time, apparently.
No,
It's like watching a car wreck.
there you go. And so as soon as that news was announced, I was like, oh, I gotta see this.
Nice.
I mean, there's bodies everywhere, all over Twitter. There's people who are mad at Disney, people who are mad at Sony. In case I mean, even CNN just covered it. Like, major news outlets are covering it.
It's fun watching the back and forth on comments on like comic book news on there, like fighting over whose fault it is.
Whose fault it is. It's Sony's fault. It's Disney's fault. It's rich people's fault, people. It doesn't matter if it's Sony or Disney. It's all rich people fighting over rich people's stuff. Lots of money.
Yeah.
Now, previously the deal Marvel had with Sony was this. Marvel would, using Kevin Feige and the Marvel writing squad, they would take Spider-Man, integrate him into the MCU, give Sony some Spider-Man films that didn't suck, and Sony would pay for them, right? So Sony paid 100% of the production costs for Homecoming and Far From Home. But that also gave Marvel the rights or the ability to use Spider-Man in the Avengers movies and Civil War, where he debuted in the MCU. Disney's portion of it was, get this, 5% of first gross. I didn't know what that meant, so I had to look it up. First gross is first day, opening day gross.
Oh, that's it?
That's it.
Oh, wow.
So I think it was Homecoming made $50 million opening day.
Okay.
Disney got 5% of that.
So let's see, 50 million.
Yeah.
2.5 million.
That's it. That movie made $800 million. They got two.
And Disney paid for it.
No. Sony paid for it.
Sony paid for it.
Sony did pay. Okay.
Sony paid for it. So,
that was one piece I had backwards. I'm like, wait,
yeah.
what?
So
That
Sony
makes
paid
no
for it.
sense.
Sony is doing the financing. So the new deal, Disney's like, okay, look, we've revitalized Spider-Man for you guys because you guys have tried it twice and you screwed it up. We brought in Tom Holland. We brought in the director John Watts. We got all these pieces together. It's funny. We tied this all into the MCU, and we made this character hot again. So we want to do a 50-50 split. We want to split production costs with you down the middle, 50-50, for half of the box office, right? No more of the 5% deal. And you retain Kevin Feige. And we also, hey, Kevin loves Spider-Man. He loves the Spider-Man universe. Hey, why don't we have Kevin help you with the next Venom as a producer and the other stuff that you want to do in the Spider-Man universe? Because Sony owns, as a part of this deal, 900 characters.
Spider-Man has that many characters?
Yes. Side characters, villains.
Wow. So they've got like the
900.
Sinister Six. They've got like everything that's important to Spider-Man. So much so that in that contract, Marvel had to get permission from Sony for the comics anytime that they made any major changes. Sony they have to send over a proposal. Hey, this is what we're thinking about doing, and Sony had the ability to say, no, we don't like that, and they could nix what they're going to do in the comic books for the last however many years that they've owned that. So yeah, that was part of where they just got them over a barrel.
But now I believe the rights are simply film rights. Like Marvel still has the TV rights to Spider-Man, right? So they can do as many. Yeah, they can do as many cartoons. They could even do a live-action Spider-Man show, which is what a lot of people are wanting. They're like, well, screw Sony, just do a live-action show and continue the story on Disney
Tom
Plus.
Holland and put him on Disney Plus.
Right? No, that's not going to work because it's not going to generate the income that a
Right.
Spider-Man movie is supposed to generate, and it's Spider-Man, right? I can understand if you put Hobgoblin on Disney Plus. Or one of the clones on Disney.
Yeah, no. If they put Spider-Man on Disney Plus, that would guarantee people go to Disney Plus. I mean, most people are going to go anyway if they're fans, but that's going to be the one that's going to hook them if they would do that.
Yes, but they won't get that worldwide hit that they want for that huge numbers because
no,
Disney Plus
that'd
going
be
to
a
be
big
available
middle finger
everywhere.
to Sony. Here
It would
you go.
Oh, yeah.
And
We just poured out your lunch right in front of you.
and I'm petty, so I kind of hope they do it.
Spider-Man's
So-
a $1 billion movie maker. Like every
Yeah.
Spider-Man movie done right should make $1 billion.
So you're just talking about the last two that Marvel did. You're not talking about the rest.
No,
of them.
no, done
Yeah.
done right.
Yeah, like I
done
just
right.
said.
Well,
So-
no.
It's a $1
The
billion
other movies
maker.
did really good though. I mean, for what they were, I mean, the Toby movies did really good, and that's
The
how come
first
everybody.
One, maybe the second one, I think did well. That third one did not do well.
The third one didn't do well because people were talking about how bad it was after they were
Because it
leaving the
was
theater and like, don't go see it. It sucks.
really bad. And the Andrew Garfield movies, I liked them. They were okay, but they weren't really.
They weren't Spider-Man.
No.
He
They
didn't
weren't
have any
Spider-Man.
chemistry. He's the male
He
equivalent
didn't.
of Kristen Stewart to me.
Ooh.
Prove me wrong, or change my mind.
Wow. My feelings are hurt for Andrew Garfield right now.
No,
I
I
feel
mean-
bad for the dude. I haven't seen him in anything else since Amazing Spider-Man 2.
His career got
Derailed
killed a little bit from
a little bit.
Amazing
But that was a
Spider-Man.
lot of his own doing. I mean,
That's
he
a lot of
shot off his
Sony's
mouth
own doing. Because Tobey Maguire's career suffered a little bit too after that.
Yeah, true.
Sony, you have to realize, and I feel bad for Tom Holland because he
He
poor
has
guy,
to.
he's still got 2 movies left on his contract with Sony. Now they don't have the director under contract, so now doing a third movie, who are they gonna get to direct it if there becomes a bidding war? Because this guy is getting really popular now because they see his Spider-Man movies, some of his other films that he's done, and they're like, oh, we like this guy. And what if Disney decides to get into a bidding war with Sony for this guy? I mean, good for John Watts, right? It'll make him insanely wealthy, but bad
Okay,
for us.
wait, let's back up just a little bit though, because I mean everybody's kind of losing their minds over this whole deal, but they're still in negotiations. It's not even close to over. And
Okay, I've
Sony
heard-
has more cards than everybody's giving them credit for.
right, but I've heard they are still in negotiations, but the lights are dim. It ain't looking good because and Sony already put out a statement late last night, saying, "Well, hey, we're sorry that this ended, but it's because
unfortunate."
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but they're saying that it's because they're trying to blame it on Disney. Say it's because Disney wouldn't let us have Kevin Feige. They're saying he's too busy with all the new properties, the X-Men properties.
Now you did
And
notice they say that he's too busy to do films that they don't own. They
Right,
made
yes,
sure to
that's
stick
what I was
that
getting
in
ready
there.
to say. They said that Disney said that he was too busy to do films that they do not own the IP for. Right? Because it's making them all that money. Why make all that money for somebody else as opposed to Disney for who you work for? And that makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure that was said, but I do not believe that is solely the only reason.
No.
Sony wants that money. Sony thinks that they can make a good Spider-Man movie. And they're emboldened by the fact that they did Into the Spider-Verse, which is a great animated film and probably one of my favorite Spider-Man movies of all time. It's up there. It's really high. It's a great film. But it's still not live action. It's animated. You don't generate those live action numbers.
Yeah.
And so they're emboldened by that. And, oh, I love this. Amy Pascal was also one of the producers on the new Spider-Man films, okay, with Kevin Feige. She works for Sony. Previously, she used to be an executive, and one of the things she was in charge of was the Spider-Man movies. So Tobey's movies and Andrew Garfield's movies.
Yeah.
So she couldn't get the job done. So they basically said, hey, why don't you go sit with Kevin and just take notes? Just see what he does. So she's still on team, right? So they're saying, okay, well, we got Amy, and they even said in the press release, thank you, Marvel, for like showing us the blueprint. We'll continue it going forward, or something like that. It was just like,
Yeah.
so it looks,
It's hard to build a house without the 2x4s, though.
but it looks like Sony finessed Disney out of millions of dollars. Is what it looks like. They basically had Disney come in, right? Give them millions of dollars for a character that they legally own the rights to.
Build
if
up the
not
character so
creatively-
that it's
creatively,
hot
you know.
again.
Right. So Disney builds up this character again, gets him in these hot billion-dollar movies, the biggest movies of all time. The highest grossing movie in Sony's time, which was Far From Home, which is their highest grossing movie ever. It gets them in Endgame, which is the highest grossing movie ever. Get Spider-Man out there, and they get their producer there to learn from Kevin Feige, hey, how do you make a good Spider-Man movie? And then they leave. They
I question
finessed
whether Amy
Disney.
could have learned that from
No,
being there,
she's
though.
no. You mistake what I'm saying.
No,
She didn't. I'm saying they finessed Disney out of millions of dollars And so there's several different ways of looking at it. One is Sony's going to make a new Spider-Man movie without Disney, right? Without Kevin Feige, without the Marvel writers. And let's say it's good. What are you going to do? Right? Then they'll never let it go. But if it's bad, it'll kill Sony. It'll kill them. They'll have to sell off the film division if they make a bad Spider-Man movie because it will tank so hard. I honestly do believe it could kill the film division.
I feel like fans are going to boycott it if they make another film, simply because most fans who love Spider-Man in the Marvel universe. They're not, most people who like Spider-Man like Marvel. So I don't
think so.
You don't think so?
I think fanboys will still go out and see it. Even if they recast, which would mean another reboot, which people would still go see it. Because it's Spider-Man. It's just, it's one of those characters that all kids know. Kids are born knowing who Spider-Man is.
Yeah, you know? They won't make the kind of money that that Spider-Man should make.
And it won't be, chances are, it won't be as good as if they continue down the path that Kevin started them on. But does that mean that they will make the right decisions to not shipwreck that? No, not at all.
Oh, here's the other thing. The continuity errors in both camps are massive because they're building up Peter Parker to be the new Tony Stark, right? Yeah. And it's funny because in each of the Spider-Man films that Marvel has done, his villains were because of Tony Stark.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Vulture and Mysterio, both of them, were because of something Tony did, right? So they evolved Tony. And so, and of course, Sony's not going to have that. Sony's not going to have the glasses and the fact that Peter has, all Tony's stuff now and is basically the new Iron Man. Sony, I don't even think Sony can reference the snap. And I forgot what they called it when they brought him back, the second snap.
The blip.
The blip. I don't think Sony can reference that.
I don't think so, no.
Because that's not theirs, that's Marvel's.
Right.
So, like what?
And Marvel can move on without Spider-Man.
Well, because they did move
can.
on. They were going gangbusters without Spider-Man. Spider-Man was just like the icing on the cake when he showed up in Civil War, but he is not the be-all end-all of what they are doing in the cinematic universe because Kevin Feige is a genius.
Well, and I think the only reason that they pushed so hard to get Spider-Man in that was that Kevin Feige is such a huge Spider-Man fan. He is a huge fan, and he wanted to get his hands on the Sinister Six. He wanted all of it. He wanted that one back, under the house, and it just.
Can you imagine those next two films if they would let him, if they somehow work this out, the Sinister Six would be, I would love to see the MCU's version of the Sinister Six.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, I've seen Sony's version of the Sinister Six. I love Jamie Foxx, but Electro, he ain't. Sorry.
He never played Electro.
Yeah, that never happened. Never mind. That didn't happen.
Wasn't their next movie, if Andrew Garfield's universe had continued, wasn't it going to be the Sinister Six?
Yeah,
they teased it because they had the Rhino at the end.
Yeah,
well,
street battle.
They had the Rhino, but then underneath, in the raft, they had like the Vulture, and they had all their different cells set up.
I think then they had
So they were all there, and it was kind of like, okay, there's going to be a prison break in the next movie, and they're all there, and we're going to have the Sinister Six. But Andrew Garfield didn't even get a third movie, and I'm afraid that Tom Holland might not get a third movie. If this continues and this is and Sony takes the hard line and says, okay, you know what, screw it, set in stone, we're not gonna work with Disney, period, then I honestly could see Sony making the mistake of recasting Spider-Man again.
Okay, they go that route. One of the things that people complained about Tom Holland was that he wasn't playing Spider-Man, that they had him playing Iron Spider for the MCU stuff. Is there a character? Yeah, I know. Is there a way that the MCU could be like, hey, this is this new character and it's Peter. We're not ever gonna say his last name. Do you think that they could ever like shoehorn him?
Not without him breaking his contract with Sony.
But if Sony would say, hey, we're not going to do this, I'm sure there's a life on it. If they
brought him as a different character, I mean, honestly, you could. because he got outed as Spider-Man at the end of the last
He could
movie.
be Night Monkey.
He could. I was gonna say he could be Night Monkey.
Yes, he could be Night Monkey.
He could come out as a different. Yeah. It's not totally out there.
Actually, there is precedent for this in the comic books. There's precedent. There was a time when Peter's identity, I don't know if it was exposed or whatever, but he became all these different characters. There's characters like the names of Prodigy and Ricochet, and there's a few others. I can't remember all of them now. But there was a time when Spider-Man was operating not as Spider-Man, but as these other characters.
How funny would that be if
Right?
they made a
But they
rip-off
still couldn't call
Spider-Man
him-
movie
They couldn't
and
call him
still
Peter.
made $1 billion
But
off of rip-off
The problem is they
Spider-Man.
couldn't even say he's like one of the clones, right? Because the clones are owned by Sony.
Right.
So they couldn't even go forward
They
with
could
that.
Brightburn that stuff.
Maybe.
I mean, how close did Brightburn get to Superman without actually
Brightburn
saying
was-
Superman?
Okay, Brightburn, just to switch subjects real quick, Brightburn was so much like Super. I expected to see like DC at the end of the credits.
I
was
did
looking
too,
for-
honestly.
I stayed
Thank
for the credits.
you, thank you, DC, for letting
Yeah,
us
because I expected to
come
see
as
like.
close as we could.
I thought it was a DC Elseworlds movie, and they were just trying to say Superman without saying Superman, because that was Superman is an evil alien.
Even down
versus
to
a
the
good
double
alien.
alliteration, you know, it was
Yeah.
HH instead of,
The whole thing.
or no, it was BP.
Yeah, BP.
Instead of Clark Kent.
Yeah,
you know.
the whole thing.
Huh.
Oh yeah.
You haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Oh,
It's worth red boxing.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely see it.
But you need to watch it alone.
Yeah,
Now,
you
not
first,
one for
not
the
with
boy.
kid. You first, because it's superhero horror porn. It is, yeah. People die horribly in this film
Yes, they do.
because it's a superpowered kid and puberty sucks, and I just that's the problem. Maybe that's what his issue was. I don't know.
You sold me on that.
Yeah,
When you
Oh,
said
yeah.
superhero horror porn.
Yeah,
Puberty and the God complex is really what the combination was.
Yeah, you'll enjoy, because I went to go see it and I had low expectations. I thoroughly enjoyed that film.
Did I make
But
you go to that?
I don't remember.
We went together.
I don't remember. I thought I was already planning to go see that anyway. And I think you just happened to call me that day and was like, "Hey, I'm going to see Brightburn." I was like, "Cool, grab me a ticket because I'm going too." So yeah, back to Spider-Man.
I just want to say
Yeah, go ahead.
that I truly, truly appreciate all of the fan art and memes that came out within like hours
Yes.
of
Yes.
the news. It was just an explosion of memes.
That's one of the reasons I jumped on Twitter so fast. I was like, "Oh, I got to see these before," because it's just going to be, because Twitter's a meme fest, and so it was just like the one I showed you today. There's one with Dr. Evil and number one, and he's like, hey, as I'll have to send it to you so maybe we can put it up and you can see it. But, it's number one telling him as Marvel, like, hey, we could put our IPs together and we could, our writing and our producing and your characters, and we could make billions. And then there's Sony as Dr. Evil, or not, and we could make millions. And it's just like, it's just perfect. Because Sony is going to screw this up. I don't care what anybody says.
Sony's gonna screw it up. All the
They've screwed it up twice. They're going to screw
Yeah.
it up. Period.
And I agree with you. I think if they screw it up again after taking the hard line, Sony's gonna tank after that.
I think it's out there for the fans to try to save it. I think both sides are playing the fans.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hey, champion what you want, because.
And if you look, it's divided. It's almost down the middle, man.
Yeah, some people blame Sony for it. Some people blame Disney for it. The right answer is you blame both of them for
Yeah,
it.
they're
No
both
doubt.
they're both to blame.
Yeah, because
But they don't care what we want.
They don't care about the
They don't
fans.
care.
They care about your money. Okay, so here's the.
So the only way to get what we want is to hit them in the pocketbook.
I tell you what though, if they reboot it, I'm not going to see it. If Sony reboots Spider-Man,
Star Trek.
no, it's different. It's different. I'm not going to go see it. I'll watch it later, but I'm not going to give it the box office numbers.
Right.
I'm
I've
not.
done that.
Just as a matter of principle, like I wouldn't watch it just because. Some people don't like Tom Holland. Some people want an older Spider-Man. Some people
Kid's
want.
perfect.
I think the kid's a great Spider-Man. Some people want the younger Spider-Man from high school, like he was in the early days of the
Tom
comics.
Holland, just his demeanor is Peter Parker.
He is
Yeah.
Peter Parker.
He is
Peter Parker.
He's
Yes.
a great high school Peter Parker. His Spider-Man is. He gets the character that
He does like
in a way that nobody else has.
90% of the stunts himself.
And
I think it's 90%, except for the ones that they feel that are too dangerous and they can't risk like him hurting himself.
Tom Holland
He
was
does the
Stan's
rest.
pick for Spider-Man. Stan was like, "That's the guy. That's Spider-Man. That's Peter Parker right there."
Yeah.
There was a quote somebody put out there like, It was Stan Lee's quote about Tom Holland, about how awesome he thought Tom Holland was as Spider-Man. And he's like, never before basically have we had a Spider-Man that embodied Peter Parker. And then there was a picture of some clouds and Stan Lee pointing down, like, don't make me come down there, you punks. It was like, yeah, that's what we need. We need somebody to come and kick that butt.
Some fan art that I saw, there was one where it was like kids, the Kid Avengers playing, and you see this adult dragging Spider-Man along going like this. And then there was one that was Tom Holland with Mickey ears, and he's holding a churro, and I think he had a Mickey, like a stuffed animal or something, and he's like, but I don't want to go.
Oh, poor guy. There was one I saw that was Spider-Man in a tuxedo standing next to Zendaya, and it said Homecoming. And then there was another one or not Zendaya, but Liz. And then there was another one for Far From Home, and he had like a suitcase and like a hat, and like he was like dressed like a little tourist. And then I forgot what the third one was, but it was like, Far From What the Fans Want or something like that. Or no, it was called Parental Separation. And it was two adults yelling at each other about money, having an arm, and he's stretched out in the middle, and they're pulling on him. And basically saying like he's like a kid in a divorce.
I did see I think it might have been Comic Book News or one of those where it was kind of a fake story as if Spider-Man was the child in a separation.
Mm-hmm. This is exactly what's happening. And it's not like the good kind where you'll get 2 Christmases. This isn't like that. This isn't.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
like the Macaulay Culkin's parents breaking up when Macaulay Culkin was big. Like they only broke up because of Macaulay Culkin. That
Pretty
makes
much.
me
That's depressing.
That's depressing.
That is really depressing. That's a deep cut. I didn't know that. That's really sad. That's ow. Oh wow. No wonder that kid's so messed up. So yeah, that's what is going on with Spider-Man. It looks like we're going to lose Spider-Man in the MCU going forward. So basically, Peter who?
Yeah, I'm not calling it over yet. I think the next week or two it's gonna.
I think so.
After they see the fan backlash, I think that's
hope.
gonna make a.
I hope the fan backlash will make them come back to the table and at least say because so Disney said we want 50-50. Sony came back and said, okay, well, that's cute. How about the same
deal that we had?
Yeah. Not even 10 or 15% or whatever. Maybe if they do, 60-40? I don't know. Would Disney be okay with that? I don't know. I would like to see them work it out, though. Because they're going to make millions, billions of dollars regardless. So they might as well just work it out and make that money.
The theme park, though. They're doing all that Marvel stuff at the theme park right now in Disney. And they just spent all this money on a Spider-Man ride.
But they can do that. That's fine.
I know, but is that what you want your big main attraction to be? Because that is the star ride that they've got. Because
well, Disney still owns merchandising rights. So they want those toys. They want you to buy those T-shirts. So because Spider-Man's still a huge draw. They're not stupid. So they're going to make that money. The only thing they don't have is the film rights. But the film rights, it's billions of dollars we're talking about here. So that's the only thing that they don't have. And unless something happens and Sony's movie division goes up for sale, it's going to stay with Sony. I think Sony walked away from the table because they knew Disney couldn't buy them like they did Fox.
Right.
Because Disney doesn't have the liquidity to do it right now.
I mean, legitimately, I see where Sony's coming from. Like, Disney is huge. They don't need the money the way Sony needs the money.
No.
So I understand where they're coming from, but like I said, they've screwed it up too many times now. Like trying to take it back now and saying, "Oh, we can do it."
Well, and that's the thing too. Like a lot of people were saying Disney has so much money they don't need any more. They're just being greedy.
They are being greedy. I totally agree with that.
But so Sony,
yeah.
They're both being greedy. Sony doesn't want to share that huge pot of money they're getting every single time Disney touches Spider-Man, the creation that Marvel created. Sony just owns the rights to film. I think that maybe some of the fans are right. Maybe Disney just punches them in the mouth with the Disney Plus show and debuts and holds it. And debuts it the same day they debut like a Spider-Man movie that Sony puts out and see who gets more traction.
I kind of like Rich's idea of shoehorning
but I'm petty.
Night Monkey.
Yeah, just shoehorning him in as somebody else. I just don't know if they can. I don't know if they can make that work. But then I didn't think they can make Guardians of the Galaxy work.
Yeah.
And they
wow.
did.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have made Captain Marvel work, but they did.
But they didn't. Sorry, that's just.
It made money. It made the money they wanted it to make.
I just did not.
Strange did better than I thought that it would too. I mean, honestly,
Strange
they've
did a lot better
made
than I thought
things that I thought that there's no way. Loki's one I never thought that they'd be able to make one a believable character or likable character. And oh my
did
god,
both.
they just
did both.
Yeah, perfect casting and brilliant writing.
I think they did the same thing with Black Panther because when I was reading it, I've read all these comics for years, and I was thinking Black Panther's bad guys kind of suck, but Killmonger was amazing in that film. Killmonger was amazing.
That's the thing, though. Like, that was always the issue with superhero movies. It was always directors making superhero movies. It was never the comic book creators making the comic book movies. That's why I think Marvel did so well. Like, they already knew the stories. They made the stories. They just put it on film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they also cast fans.
True.
The people who picked up those properties are people who legitimately cared about those properties. Starting all the way back with Jon Favreau. I mean, if he didn't put the passion that he put into Iron Man, none of the rest of it would have happened. I don't think. I don't think that they would have said, "Hey, yeah, you know what? We're gonna try another B-list character and see if we can make that happen." Because Iron Man didn't do so well. I mean, he knocked it out of the park.
He petered out with Iron Man 2, though. He flamed out with that one pretty. But
I think it was just because of his limitations, though.
Maybe.
And I like Jon Favreau, but I mean, I think that was too much of a task for him to do.
It's possible.
A bigger film than what he's capable of.
I want to hear what you guys think. I think we're all kind of on the same page, but I honestly want to hear what all the rest of the fans think.
I believe we spent the whole time on that.
We did. We did.
I knew we were going
So, hey, keep watching the news. We'll see what happens. And until next week, tell them F you.